Good afternoon, everybody. We've been having some difficulties. I think Brittany is trying to get back on. Messenger. Like us on Facebook, Instagram. We are even on TikTok. Please post your question. Oh, thank you, Keita. Nice. I'm glad you're here tonight. We're going to get started right away. And as we wait for Brittany to get back on here, I am going to ask you all to drop any topics in the comments that you would like for us to talk about or for Brittany to talk about, because this is Brittany's platform. I'm just here as a guest. Put any comments that of topics that you would like to know more about when it comes to, say, real estate investing, real estate in general, buying, selling, probate, any of those things. Just go ahead and drop those in the comment. And now Brittany is back.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
So, Brittany, I was just telling everyone that since we were having a little bit of technical difficulties here, that you were getting back on, but for them to drop in the comments any topics they would like for you to discuss in the future, since you're going to be doing a lot of these live and keeping people informed about what's going on. So, without further ado, since we're talking about foreclosure tonight, Brittany, go ahead and tell us, what is a foreclosure?
A foreclosure is the process that your lender takes you through, the mortgage company, when you default on your home loan. So that just means when you stop making that regular payment that you agreed to whenever you purchased your home and signed up for that mortgage agreement.
Okay. So it's basically when you default on the terms of your loan. And let's just so that people be familiar, because we don't the borrow doesn't always borrow money from the bank that they're expecting to pay back. And let's just this would be another one that we can do, but right now, tell them a little bit about how you can be facing foreclosure when there's a reverse mortgage.
So I think that a lot of time, how do you face foreclosure when there's a reverse mortgage? So that happens a lot of times when the person dies. So a lot of times the family members think that because their loved one was doing that reverse mortgage, they think that they have to pay back all of the money that their family member took out of the home in order to keep the home and save it from that foreclosure. And a lot of times, a lot of family members are not in a place to do that, and they don't understand how reverse mortgages work.
Right. So if a family member dies, or they have an acceleration clause in a reverse mortgage, that if the taxes or the insurance is not paid, that could force the foreclosure. So you got to be very careful when you are doing a reverse mortgage, because you could not only end up in foreclosure just because you did not keep up with the taxes and the insurance as well. But for the general public, then it comes when you default on the mortgage and you're not paying it. So tell us a little bit about, how does foreclosure work in South Carolina? So because some people think as soon as they miss their first payment, are you going to be in foreclosure in South Carolina?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So if you miss that one payment, one payment is not going to send you into foreclosure. It is usually a process. So usually that lender does not begin that process of foreclosure until you have missed 3 payments.
Right. And by law, they can't actually do it until you're 90 days in default. And then generally, can you tell them what happens to let you know that the bank is putting you on alert for that 90-day default?
They filed something with the in South Carolina, they filed something with SC courts, and it's called a less pending. So they have an official filing, and that's when they get attorneys and they serve you paperwork to let you know that they are officially and it's considered like a legal thing, like a lawsuit when you do default. And so they file that after those 90 days when you've missed those payments.
generally, and then some people get really nervous. So until you get the less pendants, are you actually in foreclosure?
No, you're just in imminent danger of foreclosure at that point.
Right, because a lot of banks, do they serve you on that 91st day?
No, it's a process. And then like even now, especially with us coming out of COVID and when they got backlog with foreclosures, it's not like you don't receive the paperwork on that 91st day. They have to get around to it, so to speak. And sometimes it can depend on if you have your lending with a smaller institution or if you're at a larger institution. And it just kind of depends on where they are in that process of actually filing those less pendants.
Because sometimes these attorneys are really busy, so they don't actually get to put you. But the whole gist of it is that the law says that you need to be 90 plus days behind in order for that less pendants to get filed. Because a lot of people think, oh my God, I'm gonna come home and there's gonna be locks on my door.
No, it's not quite how
So
it works.
tell us a little bit about how long does the foreclosure process take?
Well, there's no one size fits all. Like we said, they can begin that process like on that 91st day, and that you will need to be served that paperwork and things of that nature. And how fast it happens, it really just depends on what you do. Like if you do nothing, then they'll file the paperwork and they'll deal with the attorneys and they'll take you through that process, and then they'll auction your house off auction your house off and it'll be sold. But sometimes you can kind of hold up that process if you start trying to work with your lender and try to make arrangements to bring the account current, or to figure out if you can put those payments aside or on the back end of your mortgage. So it just depends on how you move once you've been served with those foreclosure papers.
So would you advise people what should they do? Because most people they panic, they freeze, they get scared.
What would I advise people? Well, first of all, I don't think that you should wait until the 90th day or until you've reached the process where they can legally file that last pendants. If we're having a real conversation here, a lot of times when you're in imminent danger of that foreclosure. You know when you've been sick and out of work. You know when you've been through that layoff, and you kind of know your savings. A lot of times, it's not something that takes people by surprise. It's something that we know about. And what I've experienced just being out here in the field, a lot of people just kind of wait, just hoping that it'll go away or for a miracle. So I just think that it's better to be proactive and react than reactive. So if you find yourself starting to default on that loan, just give that mortgage company a call and see what you can work out.
Right, because you can't just get stressed out and put your head under the covers and hope it goes away and solves itself.
Correct.
So you would advise them to jump in and just go ahead and call the mortgage company, correct?
Correct. Call the mortgage company. And because the thing is, like, the mortgage company doesn't want your house. They want you to make payments. Like that, they don't want foreclosure costs them money. So it's better for these lenders if you can stay in your property and make those payments.
Okay. So can a homeowner, because I know that a lot of people are getting like junk mail, people calling them. Now people are texting people, even knocking on their door, that people are getting so aggressive. Should you work with these people that are knocking and calling you to solve your foreclosure issues?
It depends. Obviously, we know in these days and times, like, you have to be aware of scams, but you would need to like vet them and just make sure that they really are going to help you and not scam you. But again, like, the first line of defense would just be try to work directly with that mortgage company.
Okay. And then what should you tell the mortgage company when you calling them?
You should just tell them that you're experiencing a financial hardship and that you're having a hard time making your payments, or it's like kind of like, okay, well, I can make my May payment, but I got laid off, and I know by like July or August I won't be able to make that payment. And sometimes they just like a student loan or other things like that. Sometimes it depends on the lender. They may can put you in a forbearance. Like I said, they do have options. So it's just better if you're proactive versus reactive to work with those lenders and to discuss those options.
what options do homeowners have?
Some of the options that come to mind, like I said, you can see if they do a forbearance, and then sometimes they have something called, well, they're the overall term for them would be loan modification. So all these things that I'm mentioning are like a type of modification or type of assistance that you can get. So there's possibly a forbearance, a partial claim is a really popular one, and then extending the maturity date of the loan and putting those missed payments on the back end. Those are some of the more common things that people typically request when they call those lenders.
Okay, so should they tell them what to do, or should they wait for their lender to tell them what they can offer them?
I would recommend seeing what the lender has to offer first and kind of seeing if any of those options fit your needs. And then if there are options that you know about that maybe they didn't mention or discuss that you think would be a good fit for you, there's no reason that you can't ask them to see if that's something that they're able to do.
All right. How does foreclosure affect your credit score and your future buying?
How does it? Well, yeah, it negatively impacts your credit, obviously, and then it can take some years, 7 or so years, actually, before you're able to purchase something else again.
Okay. And then how does it affect your credit?
Negatively.
Okay. And then can a homeowner still sell their house during the foreclosure process?
Yes. So, okay, this is another option that people have. Is so I'm so glad you mentioned that. Yes, you can sell your house during the foreclosure process. And a lot of times when I meet these distressed homeowners, they have not listed their home. So sometimes that is an option too. Like I know a lot of times, especially just with like the cost of rent and housing and trying to figure out somewhere else to go, a lot of people want to save their home if they can. But the reality of it is that putting your house in the MLS or however, like listing it is an option. So yes, you can sell your house during the foreclosure process.
Okay. And so that can be an option as well. And what kind of sales can people do?
A traditional sell, you can do a short sell. Those are the two main things that come to mind.
Okay. And is there anything else you want people to know?
Oh, you could deed your house back to the bank in lieu of foreclosure.
Okay. And that's just giving that back and just saying I'm done with it.
Yeah, and typically, I mean, it still impacts your credit, but it doesn't impact your credit as bad as if you let the bank take you through the total foreclosure process.
Okay. Anything else you want to add?
Um, I just want people to know their options and just to know that it's better if you don't wait to the ninth hour and to see if you can work something out with your lender in order to stay in the property.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Brittany. Tell people how to get in touch with you.
Well, you can follow me on social media. So on TikTok and Instagram, at Britt Buys Property. So follow me. Feel free to DM me or message me with like any questions you may have with all things real estate investing, foreclosure, and I'd be happy to answer your questions and help you out.
Oh, thank you. And then again, Brittany's gonna be doing some more lives and
I
giving you some more
am.
information. So don't forget, even if we're off this live and you're watching the replay, please do drop in the comments some topics that you would like more information on as far as real estate, because Brittany will be able to help you with all things real estate. Thank you so much
Yes.
for watching. Thank you. And thank you, Keita, for staying on the entire time.
Yes.
Good night. Good
Good night.
evening.